Hi, everybody. I hope you're safe and well. Welcome to another Chats with Chaudhrey, or Audrey and Chaudhrey, or this week in cell and gene therapy and any other thing we like to talk about. And it's me, Rizwan Chaudhry, and my lovely guest, Audrey Greenberg, who, as you can see, is with a lovely logo behind her head, founder and CEO of 𝐤𝐿 Advisors, but also former founder and CBO of the Center for Breakthrough Medicines. I got it right for
Nice
the
job.
2 weeks running. Although I didn't have to think about it. And we are going to have our weekly catch up on what are some of the stories that caught Audrey's eye this week, or eyes even. She has got to tell us what stories stood out for her and why. Actually, more importantly. So, Audrey, first of all, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm actually in San Diego today with my mother who has dementia. And it's pretty tough to
I
take
can
care of a
imagine.
loved one and also be part of, I think I've said to you, the sandwich generation, but today feels like a triple decker or something because being away from the kids and being in, with my mom, it's hard. You want to be there for them, but it's just very difficult to watch
I,
someone
I,
deteriorate.
I can understand. My mother's got early onset, and I'm away now for 2 weeks. No, actually, I'm away for the whole month traveling, so I'm not going to see her, so I have to leave in the care of someone else. But
Mm.
yeah, well, I'm sorry to hear that. But and dementia actually is one of those areas which there's a lot of work now, fortunately, going on, and maybe we will talk about that in a future episode as well. So, but you're in San Diego, but what I know you've been keeping up to date, but you're always on LinkedIn. So, what are some of the key things that you've seen which have
Guilty
perked
as
your
charged.
what's perked your interest in the CGT space and also in life science and pharma in general?
Yeah, well, I think it's the release of the ASGCT 2025 abstracts. It's a moment in our field everyone sort of waits for. I would say there's a record-breaking number of submissions this year, more than ever, which to me is evident that cell and gene therapy is more vibrant and innovative than ever. I would say that looking through the abstracts and picking out the ones that I thought were most interesting or relevant for our conversation. It crosses various domains from novel therapies to manufacturing innovations too get submitted. But delving in, I would say the most anticipated presentations comes from Sangamo. They're showcasing 9 abstracts
Right.
with strong focus on neurology, exactly what we're talking about. Notably, their work on zinc finger repressors, ZFRs, for epigenetic regulation in neurological disease. It's really is groundbreaking. They basically combine the ZFRs with STAC triple B capsid for targeting delivery across the blood-brain barrier, which is very difficult to penetrate. Their preclinical data, by the way, on prion disease models demonstrate significant survival benefits and widespread suppression of the prion protein expression. So there's a lot of promise for some of these neurological indications. Another exciting one is from 𝐬𝐿 Biotherapeutics Deerfield Company, I believe. They're presenting 7 abstracts focusing on engineered AAV capsids for CNS. Their CAP002 program targeting STXBP1 related disorders shows promise in achieving broad neural expression while minimizing liver exposure. One of the things that's been really hard to do is, when you're targeting certain indications, the liver gets exposed and there's some toxicity that takes place. So what I would say overall is that these presentations really underscore the rapid progress in vector engineering and targeted delivery, which are crucial for the success of CNS therapeutics.
That's fantastic. And one question I'm going to ask you. I mean, and by the way, viewers, if you don't know what ASGCT is, it's in New Orleans. I got it right this time. I kept calling it Baltimore last week, but it's in New Orleans, and it runs from the 13th to the 17th. Uh, so that's that. But also, ICT is running the week before in New Orleans.
Yes, sir. It's next week.
Yeah, which is next week, and I haven't even booked my flights to hotel yet, even though I'm supposed to be flying out on Tuesday. But
Oh my gosh.
that's the life I lead. It's really, really living on the edge. But so do
My
they have?
last minute flight to San Diego was only like $400, which shocked me. So sometimes your last minutes can be more efficient. I don't know.
Mine is more sorting out the dates of when I'm actually going to, because I'm going to pegs in between, so I need to sort out what I'm doing in between everything. But the question I've got for
Come
you
visit
is,
us in Philadelphia.
I can't fit that in as well, Audrey. There's far too
Okay.
much going on, but hopefully in the future. But one question I was going to ask you is that as someone who goes to both events, what do you see as the major difference between the two? Apart from obviously one is more cell and one is gene.
You
But
know, I'm embarrassed to say I have never been to ISCT,
oh,
but
have you now?
I will tell you, I always have FOMO. Last year's event was everyone I spoke to said it was. I think it was one of their anniversary events, and there was this like cardboard cutout of Bruce Levine everyone was taking pictures with. But
It was
it
in
is,
Vancouver, which was lovely setting as well.
oh, I mean, who doesn't love Vancouver? I think very different than New Orleans, but obviously just all stars of cell and gene there. Great participation. I think it's like a friendlier conference, so to speak, where good events. And I think they're having a ball. Someone just mentioned they're going, I think on Thursday night, there's some, black tie event, gala
Right.
that everybody likes. I think it's fun and educational.
Cool. Now, what other stories caught your eye this week?
Did you pack your black tie? You got to pack your tuxedo,
I've
apparently.
not been invited to a black tie event, so I don't
Oh,
think I'll be doing.
maybe
I
I
did,
could get you a free ticket.
maybe, yeah. Although maybe I'll try and avoid it as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I'm not a. I'm
Get
not.
one of the t-shirts with like the bow tie on.
Yeah. I did go to black tie events. I went to my first one in about 5 years last November, so
Oh wow.
it's been a long time. And I did order a new suit, so I'd lost weight, so that was good. Um, but anyway, what other stories caught your eye this week?
Well, I think there's just been some interesting movements in the regulatory space and broader biotech trends. So ASGCT, and ISCT highlight the broader trends that we've been observing. So, for instance, the FDA recently approved Abina's recent dystrophic epidermolysis bullosa, which is a treatment for a rare genetic skin disease, which signifies growing regulatory confidence in complex gene therapies, very good for our field. And the European Commission, on your side of the pond, approved Crystal Biotech's a treatment, I think you pronounce it Vujevec, which further emphasizes global momentum in CGT. So I think these milestones, coupled with some of the innovative research at ASGCT, it indicates our field is really getting to a maturation point. And the other interesting point is that there's a focus on manufacturing advancements with collaborations. We saw this announcement between Selfie and 𝐤𝐭𝐡𝐞𝐫, and T Cell Tech also announced something with Cytopen and Aldebaran, it highlighting the industry's commitment to scalability and efficiency, which is something we've all been focused on. And I think as these therapies move from bench to bedside, optimizing the manufacturing process becomes paramount to meet clinical and commercial demands.
Well, that's good, and it's good that you mentioned they've got some abstracts on the manufacturing opportunities because I think, as we discussed a couple of weeks ago at a meeting on the Med, I should say, in Rome, that was one of the common themes that investors were looking for was that
Yeah.
when people come and talk to them, they want to talk about how they're going to commercialize a lot of these things, as well as just how wonderful the science is, because that ultimately is what's going to dictate, I should say. I don't know why my teeth aren't working now, but dictate how those therapies can actually be successful in the first place. Because if you can't commercialize it, it's not going anywhere, is it?
Yeah. And commercialization doesn't just mean, getting approval from the FDA. It obviously means the ability to produce it at scale and the infrastructure required, in particular with the vein to vein, like Bluebird, we saw this. When you have a vein to vein treatment, you're genetically modifying someone's personalized cells, immune cells, or in their case, HSCs. You're going to need infrastructure between collecting the patient cells, genetically engineering those cells, reinfusing them back to the patient, all require specialty centers and capabilities. As we move to allogeneic cell therapies, which have starting materials that aren't specific to the donor, you're able to do it in a much more efficient and effective scale. But
One
until
question
that
I
point, we need to figure out centralize, decentralize, how we're going to get these to patients in a way that makes sense. And speaking of that, global access. There's a growing emphasis on global access. And this did not get any headlines this week, but I want to talk about this collaboration between Caring Cross and the Wellbeing Foundation of
right.
Africa. and they aim to advance equitable access to these advanced therapies. And this is in particular taking place in Nigeria. So I think this really is an example in setting a precedent for similar initiatives worldwide, because these partnerships are crucial as we develop these therapies, ensuring that they get these underserved populations for global health equity.
Yeah, so you're having trouble talking today as well. So we both are going through.
It's early here.
Yeah, it's late here though. So although it has been, although it's raining outside my window right now, but it has been a glorious week in the UK with temperatures hitting uh 27, 28 degrees. So it's been very, very hot.
Yeah, it's been nice here too. I'm missing the really good, 70 and 80-degree temps in Philly, but it's beautiful here in San Diego. And it's like I said at the top, it's hard to watch your family members decline,
Sure, I
but
understand.
it's also a blessing. My dad passed away suddenly. And, in some ways, I guess that's better for someone not to be suffering, but I didn't really get a chance to say goodbye. And I mean, now we don't know when my mom's going to pass. She could live another 10 years, but to spend this time together, it's really beautiful.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear you say that. Now, anything else caught your eye this week?
Well, there was some negative news, which I don't necessarily like to talk about, but I think there's a positive spin.
And I,
Caribou,
th- and I think you have to
yeah.
talk about it because that's the reality of the market we work in, don't we?
Yeah, well, Caribou Biosciences announced layoffs. We talk about the layoffs sometimes, affecting 32% of their staff and discontinuation of the lupus cell therapy program. But it does say, science, cell and gene therapy companies need to be focused, business minded too. And so hopefully this reshuffles some of their program prioritization so that they're able to focus on therapies perhaps that have more promise. And then make hard decisions on costs. It's important, and unfortunately, folks are affected. But the good news is, I'm sure the people that departed Caribou can go on to start other companies or work at other companies, and they bring their expertise to the mix for something that may have better patient implications.
And one question I'm going to ask you about that, because we did sort of touch about it last week as well, was that obviously with the NIH cuts and so on in terms of funding, do you think, and we talked about drug discovery and so on, and I know you did this in a post as well, but do you see there being a bit of a brain drain going to happen in
Yeah.
the US to other parts of the world, not just Europe, but to Asia and other parts who are more receptive and maybe are actually encouraging people to come to their universities or their companies outside of the US. Do you think that's going to
Yeah, I
happen?
mean, this is about the ease of doing business and the cost of doing business. If it's cheaper to do a clinical trial in another country, in terms of either the way the way the trial is administered or how you recruit patients, you're going and it's faster from a regulatory approval perspective. Of course, you're not going to do it in the US. I mean, each dollar, it's millions of dollars a day that these companies are spending on people and R&D, and the faster you get to approval, the better. You can't be burning so much cash. So I think it does affect the US overall ecosystem. If we're not doing a lot of the work here, those people are either going to go to other countries or do another different job. There's the supply and demand, right?
Sure. And in terms of regulatory, I mean, we talked about it last week, but there's no U-turns this week that you've seen, and everything is as it was the week before in terms of what's going on in the market.
Yeah, I mean the market is interesting. So we saw some new figures in the US market.
Yeah,
Um, the stock market sort of rebounded from its lows with some sectors performing better than others. So technology and some of these other sectors had some nice lifts in the past week. I don't think biotech experienced the same thing. So I think we're going to see perhaps some lift as news gets out. I mean, the market's trying to make its way through all the noise. Tariffs were noisy, the NIH cuts, the FDA, the terminations. But then there's investors that deploy capital across sectors are trying to make their way through all this information and figure out what the implications are for the field. I think we'll get there in the next couple months with less volatility. We'll be able to,
hopefully.
yeah.
All right. Well, look, is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we wrap up today?
No, I'm just pleased to spend time with. Love our weekly conversations. Look forward to definitely talking again next week. And by the way, I do have a finalizing a new position that I expect to announce in the next week and a half here. So really excited about that and pleased to be starting this new chapter.
Oh, what a tease you are. Well, look, you shall have to wait to find out what Audrey's talking about, maybe next week or the week after. Well, I'm hopefully all being well. I'll be able to catch my flight and have some hotel rooms to visit when I go to ICT. And so maybe I'll be the one maybe sharing some news from ICT. Who knows? Maybe I'll try and make some notes for a change so we can have a catch up while I'm in New Orleans to talk about how ICT has gone as well. So, and where are you next week? You still going to be in San Diego or are you back in Philly?
No, I'll be back in Philadelphia and enjoying the beautiful weather. So nice in the spring there.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you'll be having a bit hectic schedule. I've never, looking from your LinkedIn post, you're literally out nearly every single day at some event or another. So I look forward to
Yeah.
hearing for where you've
Well, it
been
was
up to.
sad. I missed a couple events this week because I'm here with my mom, which obviously is the most important. But I did miss a couple of things taking place in Philly. But there's always something going on, so I'm sure you'll be seeing it,
Oh no, fantastic. Well,
and
look,
I'll
Audrey,
let you know about it too.
brilliant. Well, look, I hope it all goes well with your mum, and I look forward to hopefully catching up with you.
When do
And
you? So you'll have to let me know how ISCT is going
I
and keep.
definitely will do, yes. So I will even try and keep a note of some of the news which is revealed at ICT so that hopefully I can share it with the viewers next week.
Yeah, I'll be interviewing you next week.
Oh yeah, well I'll have to make sure I print something out so and I can verbatim read it because I wouldn't know anything off the top of my head. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. But look, Audrey, it's lovely to see you as always. I hope all goes well with your mother and safe journey back to Philly and have a great week next week.
Thank you.
And viewers, if you are at ICT next week in New Orleans, and hopefully I've got there and you'll see my orange trainers and my orange top. And I may, if it comes in time, wear a Saints cap rather than an orange cap. But if I don't, well, I'll wear
Um,
an orange cap as well. Make sure you come up and say hello to me. And look out for interviews with some of the sponsors and exhibitors at ICT and ASGCT, all being well. But if you're exhibiting sponsoring, oh, this is my plug, then make sure if you want to let people know what you're doing, get in touch with me and see if you'll be interested in doing an interview with me because seriously, it'll be great fun. I'd love to learn more about what you're doing at ICT. Audrey, as I said, it's lovely to see you. Viewers, it's lovely to see you, well, not sort of see you because I'm looking through that camera, but hopefully you're looking back at me. And I will see you in person, as I said, in New Orleans in the next couple of weeks or at another event. And until next time, as always, stay well and stay safe. Bye bye.